Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to episode 3 of Devon and the Duke. This is a limited podcast series with your main man here, Duke Loves Wrestling, and of course, our favorite brother, the Hall of Famer himself, Devon Dudley. How you doing there, Devon?
I'm doing all right. I went to bed last night around midnight, and you know when you go to bed, sometimes you get in that deep sleep, and when you know you got to get up in the morning, you sometimes don't want to get up. But it was one of those things where I thought I wasn't sleeping because I wasn't in that deep sleep. And all of a sudden, I look up at the clock and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I had to be asleep for 2 hours at least. But my mind wasn't registering that. So it had a bad night last night, man. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, hey, I'm not going to the gym. So I just did my DDP yoga at home.
So listen, this is the thing here. You and your relationship with DDP Yoga. And I know that this is something that you teased last time we got together. So let's talk about this a little bit. You have been someone who has had some mobility issues in recent years, and it caught up to you. And you decided, you know what, it's time for me to address this because I need to get back and moving and grooving the way that Devon Dudley, the Hall of Famer, does. And you decided to give DDP Yoga a shot. Talk to me about that. Who have you been doing that with, and how's that been going?
It's been going really good. I've been doing it with NXT former NXT superstar Bobby Fish. What happened was, after the back surgery, well, let's even go back further. I had the stroke in 2019, or 2020, I should say, November 13th to be exact. And I had lost some mobility in my left side. So getting all of that back with the personal trainer at the gym, which was great. And I thought I got it all back, but apparently I didn't. And then it was like 6-7 months later, I had back surgery. So cutting through all those nerves and doing all of that kind of almost put me back to square one again. And it was like, damn. So I went and got the trainer again and we started doing stuff and everything started coming back. It was good, but it just seemed like it was still, I had a little limp in my walk and everything. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then we did it to where I was just enough to be able to do TNA 1000 episode with Bubba. There was moments where I felt it and there was moments where I didn't. Walking down to the ring was a little bit of a challenge, believe it or not to the point where it was noticeable, but just that what I was feeling. So what I'm feeling is like doing 1,000 squats, waking up the next morning and feeling the results of those 1,000 squats, where the glute and the thigh begins. In other words, where the ass and the thigh, come together. So what happens is the nerves in the body started firing back up after being cut in the lower back. And it's almost like a wake-up call. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why have I been asleep? It's like your nerves have been in a coma. And now you have to wake up everything and reteach everything all over again. And it was getting to the point where it was becoming like impossible to walk just because it hurt so bad. So after the 1000 episode, it kind of went down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was doing everything that I was doing before the 1000 episode, but it just wasn't working. My wife had came to me and told me, she said, my dad had said something, why doesn't Devon call Dallas? and see what's going on with that, with the DDP Yoga, because of so many testimonies that we've seen and heard over the years since DDP Yoga has been in existence. And I said, well, what the hell I got to lose? I've been spending thousands of dollars on rehab, on little devices that I'm seeing on social media. Why not give it a try? I called Dallas. He said, yeah, Devon. He was like, that's not even a problem. Don't even worry about it. He goes, I'll give you the app. He was like, but I would like for you to come down and visit with me as well. And I said, absolutely. I said, let me give it a shot. And I believed it because I seen the testimonies, and I saw Butterbean, the boxer. He was in a wheelchair, and now he's training again to box, which I think is insane, but he's training to box. And it was one of those things where I was just like, well, damn. You know, he did it for Butterbean. He did it for Scott Hall. He did it for Jake the Snake. He did it for the guy who was in the military, who was jumping out of planes and could barely walk. I mean, couldn't walk at all, really. And now he's running marathons. I was like, he's done, wonders for all of these guys. Let's see what he can do for me. And I just remember doing it after the first time and was just, like, taken back by it. It felt good. It felt like I had really broken up a lot of stuff. And then come to find out that when you have surgery, the surgery starts to heal after. You're building scar tissue on top of what they repaired. And that's what makes it almost impossible sometimes for you to function after back surgery, after shoulder surgery, any type of surgery, because that inflammation is in there and the scar tissue is really, really building up. And that's the one thing about DDP Yoga that I love, is that it breaks up all of that. And you can start laying in your bed doing it, and then eventually make your way up out of the bed into a chair, and from a chair standing up. So going through that process, it's been great. Again, I've been doing it with Bobby Fisher for now, because Bobby Fisher is here in Florida. He's about 30, 45 minutes away from my wrestling school. And, Bobby from NXT, he comes down and, we go over to, he's certified, and he has been tremendous, pushing me and everything, to the point where I'm walking with no issues now and everything is good. Some people ask me, well, you going to get back in the ring? I'm like, well, let's not get crazy. Let's just wait and see what happens. But if I do get back in the ring, it's, me and Bubba here and there, special occasions, things like that. I'm not trying to go back for another run. I'm not trying to go back and to put my body back in traction with the way it was. I definitely don't mind getting back in the ring with Bubba every once in a while when it means something, but not just to do it, just to have another run. I'm very happy with my career and what I've done. I have nothing left in the basement to bring out. So now it's that nostalgia act, that feel good moment. Hitting all the greatest hits is what I want to do now. And it seems to be working. Some of the independent shows we go to, things like that, and we do it. So I'm very happy with the results of DDP Yoga. I'm very grateful for Dallas. I'm very grateful for Bobby Fish, and I'm very grateful for my wife for even suggesting to call Dallas. And the thing about it is, Dallas also teaches you how to eat and things like that. He lets you watch documentaries. He wants you to watch them, so that way you can get a better understanding of what you're putting in your body. Because in order for this stuff to work, you have to eat right. You got to start eating right and taking care of your body. If you don't take care of your body's not going to take care of you. And that's one of the things a lot of people don't understand. And after seeing some of these documentaries, reading up on what's in our food, I was simply blown away out of all the crap that's in there that we think it's okay. The fast food restaurants that we go to when we try to eat healthy and we thought it was okay, just the quality of meat, things like that. It's crazy how bad it is for you. And it's like, it got to the point where I didn't even want to eat anymore, but you got to eat to survive. So, I eat a lot of vegetables, like steak, chicken, things like that. But everything has to be organic. It has to be homegrown. What do you call that? Grass-fed, things like that. And hopefully when it says that on the package, that's what we're getting. But you never know nowadays. But I've even somewhat turned vegan in a sense, where if I can try to avoid the meats and stuff like that, I'll avoid it. Only when you have that's like almost like a sweet tooth when you have for sweets, when you have for meats. So that's the only time I'll eat it. I'll go out there. I'm very difficult when it comes to ordering food. I'm like, look, no salt, no butter, dry, sauteed onions. Let me get vegetables only, Caesar salad with the dressing on the side. I put like a teaspoon of dressing. It's bad. My wife goes, I hate going out with you now to eat because you don't eat anything. I went from 280 to now 241. And I lost a lot of tremendous weight and feel great.
That's a heck of a story. Jesus, 280 to 241. How much time did it take you to lose that weight?
I'm going to say probably about almost 2 months.
Wow,
because
Devon.
Doing the yoga, I'm also in the gym working out with the trainer and myself. So I'll get up at 4:45 in the morning, get dressed. The gym is only 5 minutes away from me, so I get out of my house by 4:55. At the gym, I hit the sauna first for 30 minutes, fully clothed or a sauna suit for 30 minutes. Go upstairs, start in the fitness room. I guess it's not the fitness room. It is the Zumba room. I go upstairs for about another half an hour. I meditate for 10. I will go and start stretching, and then I'll go to the app, DDP Yoga app, and I'll start doing the yoga. And I start doing them all. And then when I'm done with that, then I'll go downstairs. I'll start my regular workout with the weights. So that has allowed me to be able to lose the weight how I've done it because of the fact that vegetables, steak, egg whites, things of that nature. Leave out the processed food. Leave out the fried food. No dairy products, things of that nature. I leave all that alone. I don't eat it. Am I starving? Fuck yeah, I am. I'm hungry. But I ain't gonna lie to you. I look at TikTok or Instagram and I scroll down some of these videos, and you can make this at home and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh God, I got to turn real quick.
But the results are the results. I mean, geez, 40 pounds in 2 months. That is tremendous. That is tremendous.
I mean, again, you'd be surprised if you cut out what you cut out, and you're not depleting your body of anything. Yeah, I'm still eating, protein shakes, protein bars. The protein bars, the Pure Pro double chocolate is like my sweet tooth. So whenever I get a sweet tooth, I'll eat the double chocolate Pure Protein bar. When you look at the amount of vegetables and chicken and steak that I eat, it kind of fills me up. But it's a good fill up, and the body digests everything really good. I take a lot of Metamucil for the digestive system, and I do a lot of vitamins. Like a colon cleanser or a kidney cleanser, liver cleanser. I take all that stuff, just so I can, maintain a healthy inside. And I take things to help out the digestive process. So when you're doing all of that and you're watching what you eat and monitoring everything, that's how it comes off. Again, most people, cheat in between, like, croutons or anything like that. Every once in a while, I'll throw a crouton on my salad. A crouton, that's it. But, this is how I'm living now in terms of eating, and I'm enjoying it. It's not for everyone. Not everybody has that willpower to do it or wants to do it, but I do. And, right now, this is how I feel. This is what I want, and it's making me feel better, to the point where my health is back to normal again. But I'm not trying to do anything to jeopardize it again. I don't want to go back to the way I used to feel, because it was rough for a long time. Now I'm as good as new now. I don't feel that pain anymore. And like I said, I've been doing it, almost 2 months now, 2.5 months of DDP Yoga, and it's worked out tremendously. The hardcore diet, so to speak, it works tremendously. I love it. Everybody that I speak to in terms of the boys, Tommy Dreamer, Bubba, which shocked me. because I never thought he would be a guy that would be into doing yoga. And he said at one point he started doing DDP yoga, and it helped change him. It helped change a lot of people. Dallas is God sent. And I think anybody who's having problems or issues with knee pain, back pain, or anything like that, before you go to that surgeon, try it out. What do you have to lose? I mean, what, getting cut open and freaking your life being miserable? Try it and see what happens. And I remember I spoke to Dallas. He was like, man, Devon, I wish I would have had you before the back surgery. And he was, but he didn't. He goes, but we can definitely work with it now. And that's what we're doing.
Incredible. That's a heck of a testimonial. Shout out to WWE Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page, and certainly Bobby Fish. I mean, a guy who he's been on TV for the better part of the past 21, 22 years of his career. And there's a reason for that. Fantastic wrestler and even better educator. So the fact that you've had him help you with your journey with DDP Yoga, and within 2 months you've lost 40 pounds, you got your mobility back, things are moving in the right direction. That says a lot. It says a lot about DDP Yoga, it says a lot about Dallas, it says a lot about Bobby, and it says a lot about your determination, Devon. So kudos to all of you.
With the 3 kids that I have, that are younger, because yes, me and my wife, we started over again and had 3 more kids. So, 5, 4, and 5 months, it's like I want to be around. I might be old at 70 or 80, but at least I'm still going to be here. That being said, I want to make sure that my health is number one and not be stubborn enough to go, I'm not doing that. Oh, F that. That's too hard. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do to live a healthier life. I don't want to be sitting here on a podcast, on a show, crying because now I got something that could have been prevented. And what was the great thing about it was, people in WWE, they never really give you your just due. Sometimes when you lose weight or what have you, they always make fun of you, like to keep you down. But it was great to go there during the draft and they go, what the hell happened to you? You lost so much weight. You look freaking phenomenal. I kept getting that everywhere I went. And it made me even more proud of what I had been doing, and to the point where I want to continue to do it. I don't want to stop. Every time I go back to WWE on TV, I just want them to be having the same reaction. Like, what the hell are you doing? You look great. I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 August 1st. And I'm just looking forward to what I'm going to look like at 60.
There you have it right there, folks. If you needed a reason to check out DDP Yoga, you just found it right there. Devon Dudley giving his stamp of approval, and he's just getting started. This is 2 months in. What's going to happen a year from now?
I mean, look, I went through stroke and major back surgery, and back to walking, back to doing things, and hell, it was even to where WrestleMania weekend, I was in the ECW arena, myself and Bubba versus Onita and Dreamer. Now, it wasn't the Devon of old, but it was definitely the Devon where I could hit the greatest hits and go home. Although Bubba went up on the top rope and did the what's up this time. I was like, yeah, no, I can't do that.
There was a point where in your career, you started flexing more. You started wearing these tighter shirts and you're flexing and all this stuff there. You were feeling yourself, brother.
Yeah.
Are we getting back to that Devon where now you walking around flexing and all that?
Well, I think at that point I was doing heavy weights and things like that. So I think I won't be that big because there's no reason for me to be that big. But, when you see some of these guys who drop all the weight, even some of the bodybuilders who are no longer bodybuilders and they're living a normal life, but they're still cut, they're still ripped, they're still doing their thing. And that's what I want to be. I don't want to be bulky. I don't want to be, muscle bound or anything like that. I just want to have that men's health fitness look, and that's what I'm gunning. That's what I'm shooting for. I want that. I want to be able to go to a water park, take off my shirt, and they go, damn, Devon look good at 51. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, speaking of which, you were at the River City Wrestling Con this past weekend, and boy, it was the most successful pro wrestling convention in the state of Florida, history, okay, in terms of what they were able to accomplish there. It's never been done before in Florida. So kudos to those folks there that put that together. Nick, Sam, kudos to everyone who was able to build that thing. Obviously the great fans, and especially the great wrestlers like yourself there, Devon. But you were there with family, and you gave people an opportunity to see a different side of you. They know you as the Hall of Famer and the wrestler. To see Devon Dudley, the family man, with the baby and the wife, and other people are bringing their families to meet you. Talk to me about that experience, man. How was that?
I mean, it was great. I didn't know that I was going to have all, like a lot of eyes on me with the family and stuff. But, that's the thing. The fans don't get to see us in our private life a lot of times because we're very private at what we do. And, I'm still private, but at the same token, I like my family to enjoy and to be able to come with me when they can, because I'm not willing to sacrifice anymore my time with the wrestling business. No disrespect, but taken away from my family. So if I can bring my family with me and they can share the experience with me, then so be it. I want my wife right by my side with my kids. One of the people that I really have a lot of respect for is Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans, when she was with WWE, she'd rather get a tour bus, put her family in it, and just drive everywhere, not worry about across the world and, leaving the family behind. She actually took them with her. And I loved that about her. She would get in that tour bus and just her and the family, her husband, her daughter. This is before she had the baby. And they would just go from state to state, city to city. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. And Lacey Evans to this day is one of my good friends. Her and her husband, basically they come and visit every once in a while here at my house with my wife and my kids. We go dinner and stuff like that. When I had my stroke and Lacey found out about it, they were in Orlando. And this was after I came back home. And I think I had been home like 3 days. And WWE was at the Amway Arena in Florida. And she called me and I picked up. I was like, hey, Lacey, how you doing? So forth and so on. And she was like, hey, I want to come by and see you. And I was just like, okay. I was like, I'm not in any shape. She goes, and Lacey, boy, she got a mouth like a sailor. She goes, mother effer, I don't get you. That's not what she said. But she's like, mother, if I don't give a damn how you look, I'm coming to make sure you're okay. I said, I'm okay. She's like, Devon, I'm coming. Send me your address. So I sent her my address. I told my wife, I said, Lacey Evans is not taking no for an answer. I was like, she's coming over. My wife goes, well, you better let her come over. And, so we came. They bought food, everything. We sat down, had dinner with my family and everything at my dinner table. And I'll never forget that about Lacey Evans. So a lot of respect for her. And I have to make sure I say this right because the dirt sheets, they'll go to town with it. I admire her. I'm not infatuated with her. I don't have a thing for Lacey Evans. I am a very good friend of Lacey Evans, and she's a very good friend of mine and my wife's. So before the dirt sheets get crazy and print stupid things, there you go. I really admire her for how she is with her family. She's a real family woman. And that's really what attracted me to her a long time ago. And I said, that's the person I want to say that's my friend.
Shout out to Lacey Evans. That's pretty awesome to hear. And I remember her saying that. I remember her saying that she likes to travel with her family, keep them close. That's great. And again, the fact that at the River City Wrestling Con, you had your family there, it really, you touched some folks' hearts there, man, because it showed you in a different light there. Awesome. In fact, one photo that's been passed around a lot is the photo of Big Vito LoGrasso and his full, outfit there. He had the hat, the suit, and all that, and he's holding your baby. What do you think about that?
Well, I told Vito, I said, don't you drop my baby. I'm coming out of retirement. I've known Vito since I first started in the wrestling business. He was with me at Johnny Ross's school. He had been in the wrestling business, I believe, probably 4 years prior to me. a little older than me, and he had already been starting doing enhancement talent for WWE by the time I got to Johnny Rodz' school. So, to me, Vito was a star. Even way before he became in the business in WWE, because of what he was doing. He was already on TV and things like that. So it made me feel great to know that I'm training at a facility that another gentleman had came from that is now on TV and following his dream. So Vito and I have been, friends since 1991. And, so to see him after all of these years and for us to actually have that connection, it's been really, really cool. So I saw the picture too. My wife actually showed it to me. And I was like, look at Vito trying to let everybody think that that's his kid. I said, and I got to go on social media and tell people about this. That's my baby.
I love it. That's good stuff there. It's interesting. These conventions, they're all different. But when you find conventions that are family friendly, legitimately, it's something that you can take everyone from the baby to the grandparents and everybody in between. That's special. That's special. And being able to meet legends like yourself and Vito and Sting and Trish Stratus and Booker T, all the great folks there. Just really a great smorgasbord of heroes and sheroes, so to speak, there. But what was also cool is that there was a wrestling portion of the River City Wrestling Con over the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. And one of your students had matches both days, but Saturday in particular, Scotti Sosa was in the main event, her very first main event on a big stage like that. And she took on Ruthie J from the NWA and Mission Pro Wrestling champion Tiffany Nieves. So how does it feel to have one of your students at an event like that, and she's headlining the wrestling portion?
Oh, it feels really good. I've had numerous female wrestlers come out of my school and make it to major promotions. We had, I believe, Caitlin, I think they call her, Caitlin and TNA. She was in NWA, I believe, at one point. I think she's in TNA now. And I call her Lacey, and forgive me, I cannot remember her WWE name. Caitlin Carter.
Yes.
She's mine. Blue Pants, Leva, who used to be in NXT, she's mine. Another lady by the name of Mary Kate, who kind of did a witch doctor type of gimmick in NXT, but due to health reasons, she had to retire and could no longer wrestle anymore. Who else? Man, I've had so many. There was another young lady by name, they call her Miss Jenkins. She was in NXT for a little bit. And then, of course, the gentleman, which we all know, Haku's boys, Tafita and Partey, they've been mine. Cruz has been mine, who is, he's in AWA right now under a mask. God, forgive me. I'm so bad with the wrestling names. I know their real names, but so many people have come out of my school, and a lot of them have been females, which I've been glad to say. With this whole female movement, it's been tremendous to see the rise in women wrestling. I'm not taking anything away from the women during my era, during the Attitude Era. Of course, we know Trish Stratus and Lita have been doing. They did tremendous jobs. Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson, Miss Jackie, did tremendous. But the women of today are just as good as the men. Yep. It is tremendous to see these women main eventing Monday Night Raw, main eventing WrestleMania. I mean, it is great. And to have Scotti, one of my newest proteges, go out there and to main event this one, this was phenomenal. I loved it. So kudos to her. I'm so glad, I was able to have her go to River City Wrestling and to showcase what she's learned since being with me. Very proud of her and honored to say that she is my student. So kudos to all the women out there that are trying to make it and busting their behind and not being just known for tits and ass. They're being known for their ability to wrestle and to become athletes. So congratulations to all the women that are doing that.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Scotti, she wrestled both days. So she main evented on Saturday, and then she was, basically a semi-main on Sunday against Lindsay Snow, who's a mainstay down there in Florida. And, Lindsay Snow, she's tough, man. So for Scotti to be in the ring and handle both of those situations, it's really her first big break, so to speak, in that regard. But to do so at the River City Wrestling Con with all of these big stars there, including her Hall of Fame mentor and coach, Devon Dudley. Man, you couldn't write it better than that. And ironically, she's been getting a lot of requests for interviews and a lot of fans she was able to gain. She networked. So, folks, you're going to see a lot more Scotti Sosa out there because she definitely made a big impression for herself. But again, Devon Dudley, this is the learning tree right there in that regard. And it's interesting because, we just had the NXT, well, PLE, I should say, on Sunday there, and even the latest episode of NXT on Tuesday. It is clear that women's wrestling is something that is just blowing up like never before. And like you said, they're main eventing like the men are. There's just as much interest, and in a lot of situations, even more interest in the women than there are in the men, because it's fresh, it's quality wrestling. You got great storylines going on. I know with NXT, we just saw Roxanne. She was able to defeat Jordan Grace from TNA, the TNA Knockouts champion, taking on the NXT Women's Champion. And Roxanne, she reigned supreme. But that match was considered the best match of the weekend by far. Those two ladies tore it up. So the women are coming. And I just, tell folks out there, if you are a trainer, you have a wrestling school, and you're developing talent. If you're not focusing on developing women, like Devon Dudley has done for over a decade at this point, you're missing out, because you just heard some of the names that he just mentioned. A lot of his ladies are on TV, including Ref Jess, right?
That's right. Jessica Carr, one of mine as well, the SmackDown women's referee. She's ours too. She trained with myself along with Bubba. And, again, it's just really been tremendous. And there's so many good women out there, even, and I'm not saying anything, and forgive me if I do, but if anybody take offense to it, I'm sorry. But, with AEW, I've seen some of their women wrestlers, and they are good, but it's like they don't showcase them enough to be able to put them in the spotlight like they do the men. And it's sad because they have some very good talent. You should be able to, you have these shows, you should be able to make more time for these women to go out there and to showcase what they can do. Just like WWE is doing with their women's division, just like TNA does with their division, just like NXT is doing with their division. You can't leave, the women out just because they're women. They're just as important to pro wrestling as the men are. So showcase them. Let them do what they do best, and that's entertain.
Well said. Well said. And were you ever threatened, Devon, by the notion that women might main event, or that they're getting more matches on the cards when you were active, when you were really in the thick of things? Because some folks, they're bothered by that. They're threatened by women. Oh, they're taking our spot, and why are the girls on the card, and yada yada yada. Based on the way that you have dedicated yourself to developing whoever wants to be developed, and looking at who you've trained and how successful they've been, it seems like you are dedicated to helping women athletes continue to grow. When you were in the thick things as a wrestler, did it bother you that you had to compete with them, so to speak, in terms of being on the card?
No, I don't think we were competing with them. The Dudley boys were the Dudley boys. We went out there and did what we were supposed to do and got over. And I think it's safe to say that, whenever the Dudley boys felt like we needed to turn it up, we did. So we were never threatened in any way, shape, or form by women's wrestling because they started getting notoriety or they were taking a spot. We've earned our spot just like they earned theirs. So in my opinion, nothing was ever taken away from us because the women took it away from us. If we got something taken away from us, it was because we let it happen, but had nothing to do with the women. And when I say let it happen, in other words, either we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, or the office did not see us fit being in that particular situation at that time. But I never felt threatened because the women took over a certain spot on the roster, because as you know, we always was on Monday Night Raw, always on SmackDown. Very rarely did you not see us on the TV. Very rarely did you not see us at WrestleMania when we were in the company performing.
So you let the work speak for itself, and because of that, you didn't have to feel threatened because, the cream rose to the top, basically, right?
Absolutely. Anybody that says that they felt threatened, then apparently you didn't know how to do your job correctly. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Ooh, coming in hot. The Hall of Famer Devon Dudley setting it straight right there. For all you folks complaining about women being on these cards, step your game up. Okay, it's just as simple as that. Step your game up, because the whoever's going to draw, whoever's going to make money for everybody, they're the ones who are going to be opportunities. There's no two ways about it, regardless of gender. That's the way it is. I want to throw something at you, Devon, because this came across recently. It's been trending online, and it's something that you and I have never talked about before. We have the Who Killed WCW. There's the series that's happening right now on Vice, produced by The Rock and $7 Entertainment and what have you. And Ric Flair, the Hall of Famer, legend. A lot of folks say he's the greatest of all time. Certainly, in my opinion, he's the greatest wrestler of all time. Rick has had a few outbursts as these old feelings keep popping up. And recently, he called out Bischoff and Vince Russo and said that both of them ruined WCW and, went on a tirade. Well, this morning, he apologized for everything that he said, which is interesting because he said a lot. What's your take from a general standpoint, Devon? I mean, I understand that we all go through things in the past, but as you get to this point in life where you're pretty much, your career is slowed down, or you transition into different roles or what have you, is it worth it to still grind those axes, or is it time to kind of, obviously tell the truth, but at the same time leave on a positive?
Well, Rick has gone through a lot with that organization, and he helped create that organization. He helped put that organization on the map. So there were things that Rick saw that basically wasn't right, and he spoke up about it, and people thought he was crazy, or people just thought he was trying to save his position or his spot. But, it all comes down to, when you look at it now, he was right about some things. Now, what those things were, I don't remember at the time. But again, there were certain things where, us on the outside looking in saw the writing on the wall. People that were within the company saw the writing on the wall. They got comfortable. And instead of, doing what they did to take the number one spot from Vince, they just got comfortable and started putting out stupid stuff that just did not make any sense. And Vince capitalized on that and took over. So I'm going to say Flair probably had some justification in saying what he said. There might have been some things that might have been a little too harsh. There might have been some things that could have been avoided as saying, but he said it, and it is what it is. Listen, Eric Bischoff has admitted that he has made mistakes, and he knows the mistakes that he's made. And at one point, I believe Eric might have even pointed it out, the things that he has made mistakes on. But again, we all go through it. And, it's unfortunate because WCW, NWA, whatever, it was such a great organization. But, certain things that were done within the company back then should not have been. And maybe if they didn't and they were, doing the right thing for business, maybe they would still be around to this day. we might have three organizations, WWE, WCW, and AEW. The same could be felt for ECW. There were things that were done internally that caused the company to fold, and it is what it is. It's water under the well. I don't think we should harvest on it. I don't think we should continue to just, keep, talking about it or crying over something that's no longer going to come back. It was a great time. I think, like everything else, everything has an expiration date. And it was unfortunate that that expiration date came in the early millennium. What was it, 2001, I believe it was. So, it's unfortunate, but it happened. So again, I can understand Rick feeling the way he feels just simply because he was there from the beginning. He was there when business was up, business was going. And I'm sure he had a hand in a lot of that stuff. So to put Rick on the back burner during some of those times and just thinking he's too old to go in there, or he's too old to have an opinion on what he wanted, what he thought was going on, I think that was wrong. You need to listen to people that have been there before you and that helped start the organization. That way, maybe the mistakes that were made would not have been made. And again, Bischoff has admitted that he made mistakes. Bischoff knows what the mistakes were. And like he said, given the opportunity again, he would definitely correct them. By the time Bischoff realized, what was going on, this side of Bischoff's mouth, by the time he realized what was going on, it was too late. The nail was almost hammered. The last nail in the coffin of WCW was almost nailed completely shut. So, I get Rick. I understand what he's saying, but you can't deny that Rick did not help that company get put on the map.
Great point. Balanced. Now, Ric Flair, so you heard it. Devon Dudley, he had you back on that one. So please don't cuss us out now, Rick. Please. Rick's at that age now where he going to say it. That's just the way it is.
Well, again, in terms of Bischoff and Flair, they're both friends of mine. Again, not there knocking Eric. But again, he realizes his mistakes that he made, and there's nothing Eric can do. He can't go back and try to reopen WCW and fix the mistakes that were made. And again, we understand Rick's frustration because you try helping to create something and then have it taken away from you because of bad judgment calls. You'd be pissed off too, especially on the level that Rick was in WCW at the time.
Well said. What's your take on Vince Russo? Because like you, he's a product of Gleason's. He's a product of Johnny Rod's. Not as a wrestler, but certainly as somebody who's developed in the business. What's your take on Russo?
Well, Russo and I have had this talk. He came to Johnny Rod's school when I was there. There is a gentleman that I think might have been Russo, because him and I talked about this. There was a guy that came down there that I can recall vaguely that kind of looked like Vince Russo, that looked like Vince, and I wasn't sure if it was him. And I remember asking him about it because this guy came down with another guy that was looking to join Johnny Rod's school, but the guy never joined. Big muscle-bound guy. Vince did not have any recollection of that, but he said that he remembered seeing me down there, and I just did not remember. And then when I started thinking about it, I was wondering if he was that guy that I thought that might have been the guy that I was telling him about. And again, he couldn't remember the guy that I said that he might have came down there with. But, again, Russo said he was there. I couldn't say no, he wasn't. Johnny told me the same thing. Johnny told me he was there. I just could not remember, him being there. But in terms of him, the crazy ideas that he had, what was it, the Viagra on a pole match? Stuff like that. I know. Vince had came up with some wacky stuff, given, who was the actor from Scream?
Oh, David Arquette, you talking about?
Yeah, giving him the heavyweight championship. I don't know about that. Still, I remember me and Bubba used to tease him all the time about that in TNA, and even giving what's his name, Bagwell's mom, the tag team title.
Oh my God,
that was, there was crazy ideas that Vince did. It kind of reminded me a little bit of another crazy individual that's running a company right now. It's just things that should not have been in the wrestling business, but it was. And we look back, we laugh at it, we cringe at it. But at the same token, guess what? We remember it. So it is what it is in that aspect. So do I think he had a hand in the Attitude Era? Absolutely. How much of a hand? I can't really say about that. Russo claims that he had a big, huge hand in all of that. And it was almost like Vince didn't have anything. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of that was Vince. And as we know, if you think about the storylines that were going on back then and think about what he's going through right now in terms of Vince McMahon, you got to think that half of those 6 storylines were Vince.
Good point. Good point.
But, again, I think he had a tremendous hand in helping Vince with some of those storylines from back then. He was definitely instrumental in bringing Bubba and myself into WWF at the time we came in, because he watched ECW. He knew who we were. Vince didn't know. A lot of people in the office in WWF did not know who the Dudleys were, but Vince knew. And he set up the meeting and everything, the calls, everything. And we went down there. And, if it wasn't for him and another gentleman by the name of Blackjack Brown, Bubba and I, we don't know if we would have ever made it to WWE or not.
Wow. Shout out to Vince Russo. That's a hot take right there. Never knew that story.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. It's interesting because what we're seeing right now, Devon, is a lot of younger fans who they really weren't alive during those years. You know what I mean? These 20-somethings and what have you, they were either too young or they just flat out weren't alive. But yet,
what I love about them, Duke, is that they got so much to say.
Right?
A lot of so disrespectful. I'm like, bitch, you weren't even born then, let alone you were still you wasn't even a thought in your father's nutsack at the time. But yet you want to go on social media and badmouth people and talk crap. The one thing I loved about the 80s and the 90s before the internet is that a lot of fans were very respectful back then. They might not have liked what they saw or what have you, but they weren't rude about it. Everybody has the right to have their opinion. There were, if you wanted to get your opinion across to a certain organization that was around during that time, you wrote a letter and you mailed it in, and that fan mail. And that's how it was done back then. We didn't have any social media. We didn't have any, switchboard for people to, go on whatever particular website there is. To voice their opinion. We didn't have that, it was a good time back then. Everybody felt like they were well respected. Nobody felt like they were disrespected during that time, unless you felt like you were disrespected by the boys or the office. But that was the only thing. The fans respected you. They knew. It was a different generation back then. And that's what I missed the most about yesterday. It's not that, I'm an old fart or what have you. I mean, sure, make the joke, ha, yeah, you are, Devon. Okay, I am. But I can tell you what, business was great back then. Ratings were up, and your father or your uncles were watching us, spending money, and freaking loving what we were doing, taking your little snot nose behind to the wrestling shows to watch us. So when you sit up there and say something messed up on social media, think about it. Think about what you're saying, and stop thinking that, I have it's freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. When people say that to me, I'm like, man, I wish your ass was in North Korea right now and said that shit. I said, your ass would be missing. You would be
They would
done.
find out real quick. They don't have that. Yeah, they'd find out. Wow.
I go on Twitter or whatever it's called now, X or whatever. I go and I see these videos where these people get pulled over and they're just like, what the hell you pull me over? They're acting all big and bad. Why you pull me over? I ain't opening up nothing. I ain't getting out of nothing. Man, do that in North Korea. Do that in the fucking Iraq and see what happens. See what ass will be in a world of trouble. People are like, well, we're not in Iraq. We're not in North Korea, blah, blah, blah. This is why we're in the land of the free, the home of the brave. I said, that's the problem. I was like, you're protected by these laws, so you feel like you can say and do whatever you want. But let that shit change, and your ass gonna be just like the rest of them people over there in other countries. You won't be able to say a goddamn thing. Notice how I said got, G-O-T, not G-O-D. I tell people all the time, JR tried to correct me on that one day. He goes, isn't that a little blasphemy using God's name in vain? I said, no, JR. I said, black people don't say goddamn. I said, we say goddamn, G-O-T, goddamn. If you ever listen to a black person, goddamn. I said, we don't say goddamn. I said, no disrespect. I said, but white people say goddamn. We don't say that. You listen to a black person when they say goddamn. But when you see it on TV and you put the closed caption, it says God. But listen to how we say it. It's totally different.
Listen, all those years that JR hung out with Ernie Ladd, he didn't pick up on that? Come on, JR.
You should have.
Come on, JR. Should know better than that. Now, Devon, you have a big booking coming up this weekend, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I am. I'm going to be at the Space Coast Comic-Con June 15th through the 16th. It's going to be in Wickham Park, Melbourne, Florida. I live here in Melbourne. I love this community, love this town. A lot of people who I see in passing, I don't have time to really stop and have conversations with or sign anything really because I'm out and about with my family or I'm doing my, regular activity things I'm supposed to do. I get to go now to Wickham Park at the center and be able to do this autograph signing and be able to talk to the people, be able to sign autographs, take pictures, take my time with them because now I have the time to do that. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And, I want all the people in Melbourne, and anybody within that area, Palm Bay, Titusville, Vieira or Vero, come on down and, show your love and support. We got wrestling events that's going on there. We got cosplays going on over there. I mean, we're really, really going to have a great time here.
I love it. So once again, you can see Devon Dudley live. Come on, folks. You want to do it. It's a great chance to do that. Great dude. Always puts on an entertaining, warm atmosphere. That's what it's all about. When you meet your heroes, a lot of folks say don't meet your heroes. Well, Devon Dudley, I can tell you, so many folks who talked about him at the River City Wrestling Con and how wonderful it was to meet him. So certainly you want to do that this weekend if you're down there in Melbourne, Florida, for sure. Devon, what's the best way folks can follow you online?
All right. Well, you can follow me online on Instagram at Testify Devon. That's Devon spelled D-V-O-N. You can also reach me at DDA, Devon Dudley Academy, on Instagram as well, and Twitter at Devon Dudley on Twitter. And, I answer the inbox. I look at them and, all the great fans that write in, they'll be able to testify that I do. And, that's a great way to get in touch with me, especially for any bookings or coming down to check out the wrestling school to see maybe if you have what it takes to become the next WWE, AEW, NWA, or TNA superstar. If you do, give us a call, please. Give us a call, and we'll be down there getting ready to teach you just like we've taught so many other people. And you can contact us. Our number is 407-790-7800. Again, that's Devon Dudley Academy, 2720 Forsyth Road, Unit 318, Winter Park, Florida.
I love it. I love it. Listen, we have one of our young listeners, a young man by the name of Jackson. He and his godfather, T-Bone, a.k.a. Nick Tambasio. They listen to the show, and Jackson just turned 14 years old, Devon. What do you got to say to Jackson?
Well, happy birthday, Jackson. And, if you ever feel the urge to come on down and test the waters out and see what you got, see what you have to be a WWE superstar, come on down. I'll be more than happy to teach you. Hell, I'll even be able to teach you how to put somebody through a flaming table. Oh, my brother, testify. So
next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.